The play on the field, the court, and the ice is just one part of sports. Behind every game are the people hard at work so we can enjoy the action. They're the owners, administrators, agents, broadcasters, and vendors who bring the games to life. Meet them when you go Behind the Game with Patrick Klinger and Dave Boden.
Welcome to Behind the Game, presented by KLN Family Brands, manufacturers of great products like Wiley Wallaby Licorice and Sweet Chaos Popcorn and Nutrisource Pet Foods. I'm Patrick Klinger, president of Agile Marketing Partners. Alongside me, a man who has a trophy room filled with his participation trophies, Dave Boden. Hey, great to have you back, Dave. It's been a bit.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I missed the last couple, and I really appreciate you pointing out my participation.
You tried, Dave. You tried.
Collected. Usually I quit stuff, but then I hung on for a couple.
Good.
If I wasn't kicked off the team. So appreciate that. But our special guest today is Christy Sovereign, the CEO of the 2026 Special Olympics USA Games, which is a great event coming to the Twin Cities next year, June 20th through the 26th, if I have those right. So, Christy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And just to start off with a little background, you have a very deep personal connection to the Special Olympics, somewhat through your sister, Katie. And I'd kind of like to know, what does that mean to you in terms of getting to where you are now and leading this event? And then how has that shaped your vision for the 2026 USA Games?
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you starting there. You appreciate it. I've said many times my path to this role is a bit of a beautiful collide personally and professionally. It is very personal, deeply personal to me. My sister Katie is a Special Olympics athlete, having been involved in Special Olympics for over 40 years. And in about every capacity that Special Olympics offers athletes the opportunity to engage. So by extension, myself and our family have been extensively involved, coaches and volunteers and super fans. And I'm an alum of the board of Special Olympics Minnesota. And I was a unified partner for a short moment until I was fired by Katie because I was keeping her from getting the gold. So I too, Dave, got a participation trophy for my short unified partner tenure. But it's an incredible organization. You know, suffice to say, I've had a front row seat to see the transformative impact of it. And it's just absolutely a privilege to be in this position, leading something that's so important, not only to the mission, but to our community. Why it matters so much? Again, because it's personal. And I've said on a number of different occasions, we here in the Twin Cities will have the incredible opportunity to host an event, right, that last week in June 2026. It will be a moment, but it's really, really important to me that this moment is seen as something to propel the movement. The movement being, of course, Special Olympics' mission to improve the lives of people with intellectual disability. And I've seen its impact both on and off the field personally. So it's very important to me and our team that it's not just a great event, but it does leave the lasting legacy and impact that we really want it to.
Great. Christy, let's talk about some of the details of the games. Dave mentioned the dates. Yeah. How many athletes, what competitions, how many states will the athletes be coming from? Any information you can share?
Yes. So the event will bring together over 3,000 athletes from all across the U.S. that'll come to compete. They'll compete in 16 different sports. It's Summer Olympics, so track and gymnastics and swimming, et cetera. 10 of those sports will be competed at the University of Minnesota. The other 6 will be competed up at the National Sports Center in Blaine. So we have world-class venues that will be on display as Minnesota takes center stage that last week in June. It will take an army of volunteers. I think there's 20,000 volunteer shifts, so it will be a big Minnesota coming together to support it. It will take a village. But very, very excited about what's coming. It's an imperfect comparison, but I use it anyways to help people appreciate the size and magnitude of the event. I would liken it to Olympic trials for 5-ring Olympics, right? It's the best of the best from the U.S. coming together. they'll represent their states, and winners might have the opportunity to represent Team USA in the World Special Olympics Games in 2027. So a really, really big honor for us to be able to host it here.
It's such a huge event, and to step away from the event itself, but just to a little of your involvement background. You're an executive on loan from Accenture in this role as the CEO of the event. You bring 35 years of corporate experience to the role. So how are you applying the skills that you developed in the business world or lessons in leadership from the business world to a mission-driven event like the Special Olympics?
Yeah, it's a great question, Dave. Thank you. Yes, I have the great fortune of being an executive on loan from Accenture. Accenture, of course, a global professional services organization. 80% of my time is being pointed toward the games. The other 20% of my time remains pointed toward Accenture in our business. Specifically, I have responsibility for our Minneapolis office location. I've spent the entirety of my Accenture career serving amazing companies, big clients, nationally, sometimes internationally, more than not on big transformational efforts that they're embarking on to drive growth or drive increases in shareholder value. And I've reflected quite a lot on this. Interestingly, I liken what we're doing here to a big transformation. This isn't just a moment, but this is driving the mission forward, driving the movement forward in an important way that's very transformative. And I liken shareholder value in our context here to driving more inclusive mindsets, right? We're looking to grow inclusive mindsets, recognizing that inclusive mindsets are those that appreciate everyone has a gift and everyone has a role to play and everybody has a precious ability that can be brought to bear in an important way. So to the extent that our work not only, again, delivers an amazing event, but leaves a legacy of inclusive mindset growth that shows up in our schools and shows up in our businesses and shows up in our communities is really, really important.
Mission really takes it beyond just a sporting event.
Yeah, very much so.
Like.
Interestingly, we had the opportunity to speak of the event up at the state capitol and talked about what it all entailed. Again, in its sporting platform, right, on the field, which is Special Olympics legacy, of course, driving inclusion through sport, but also in its off-the-field priorities related to athlete health and wellness, related to youth education and engagement, and related to athlete leadership or tooling athletes off the field to be more productive in their communities, which is athlete employment. And one of the comments that we got when the floor opened for questions was more of a remark that said, this really isn't a sporting event, it's a humanitarian event. And that's absolutely, I've stolen that. Sure. That's right. Absolutely it. I talked about the sport, Patrick, to your question, off the field, both with the platform we have leading up to the games and certainly what will take place during the games in the athlete health and wellness space. Very proudly, we will provide free health screenings to all 3,000 plus of the athletes that come to participate, screening their hearing and their vision and their dental and their mental health, et cetera. So 7 different disciplines. Special Olympics cites a statistic that says the life expectancy difference between people with and without intellectual disability is 16 years. More than not, they see that delta can be shortened had they had access to screening services or early intervention things that could mitigate against that. So we're very proud of what we'll be doing in that health and wellness space. In the youth inclusion space, Special Olympics does a couple of things on the youth continuum. Young kids and school age, high school age kids. On the young kids side of the equation, Young Athletes is their programming that brings together kids with and without intellectual disability from the ages of 2 to 7. You can't start competing in Special Olympics until you're 8, and I distinctly remember my sister counting down those days until she was 8 years old. But it brings them together for play, recognizing that the earliest ages you bring kids together that are different, differences go away. And the beautiful trailing impact that it has in reduction of bias and stigma and bullying is tremendous, tremendous. And in the schools, at the schools, Special Olympics supports or drives a certification called a Unified Champion School. And a Unified Champion School is one that offers adaptive sports programming. It offers opportunity for students with a disability to be in a leadership position, be it on the student council or something in school. And it also has, curriculum, right, that supports anti-bullying and other, equity training. Minnesota leads the way in terms of how many certified Unified Champion schools it has, and so certainly important to us is to use the platform to drive continued increases, not just in Minnesota, but across that. And then lastly, in the third space of athlete employment, Special Olympics cites a statistic that says only 18.5% of people with intellectual disability are employed to the level of their ability. So it really does, compared to 65 to 70% in the non-ID population, so it really does speak to a crisis of under and unemployment. So we're really excited about what will be, again, using the platform to do a series of unified work-related activities, which will culminate in a unified work summit during the week of the games that will bring together, it'll be focused on the demand side of the equation, if you will, bringing together corporate partners and other big companies here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, to have important conversations about how they can be part of the solution of bringing this incredible talent pool into their organizations. So lots happening off the field in addition to on the field that'll importantly drive this forward.
Christy, Minnesota has a long tradition of hosting large and successful sports events. We've had a couple of Super Bowls here. We've had Final Fours, Ryder Cup, PGA Championship. We've got the World Junior Hockey Championships coming to St. Paul later this year. Those events really require a great deal of corporate support. And historically, Minnesota's been able to provide that. Are you finding that the Special Olympic Games are getting that same level of enthusiastic support from the corporate community that other events have had?
Yeah, I would say, Patrick, there isn't a single company person that isn't interested in learning more about what's coming. And there has been a tremendous outpouring of support that we've been getting from the corporate community and broad community at whole. This does take a village, as I referenced earlier, and if it weren't for the support of our corporate partners, most notably, it would be very difficult for us to meet any of the ambitions that I've talked about in terms of the priorities on and off the field. A shout out to presenting partners. Jersey Mike's was a presenting partner for the 2022 games. Their experience, they describe also was very transformative, and we were exceptionally blessed for them to come back very early and say that they want to support for 2026. And UHG here locally, also another presenting partner. Both of those partners came in, 4 years out, and if it weren't for what was that type of support that far out, that really has enabled us to think really big and plan for the skies, we'd be in a very different position. But at this point, we probably have 30-some partners and counting. There's room for everyone, but it's been terrific.
Right. So you mentioned the kind of scale of all the things involved, not just the sports, but so many of the other events, and really these games are projected to be the largest humanitarian event ever held in Minnesota. How are you ensuring, you talked about the corporate, how are you ensuring that the community feels ownership of the event and engaged? I know you've got a little bit less than a year now, but how are we getting the community involved, whether they're volunteering or spectators or small businesses or others that maybe aren't the corporate partners but want to play a part?
Yeah, you're right. So the 2026 USA Games were to have been the single biggest sporting event in the U.S. in 2026 until FIFA decided to hold things there. So we're a proud number 2 now. They are the single largest sporting event that will be taking place or has taken place in the Twin Cities since 1991. Bigger than even the couple of Super Bowls we've had and what's its collective over the course of the week. In 1991, it was another Special Olympics event. It was us hosting the international games now called World Games, in 1991. And as you might imagine, a national games, a USA Games now in this point of time, is the size that the World Games were back then. So it's back after all this time, and obviously very, very excited about it. The question that you posed about community engagement is a really, really important one for me. It's really important that this isn't seen to be something for that community, right? The Special Olympics community, versus it's seen to be something that the whole of our community embraces. Why does that matter? Well, first of all, back to your shout out, we have proudly hosted, we are a market that's proudly hosted some of these incredible, incredible events, like you noted. Those have all been events that we've seen our community show up in spades in incredible support. What community would have shown up for the 2018 Super Bowl in the frigid cold of January, engaged in the manner that they were on Nicollet Mall, taking in all of that fun? So having had the opportunity to appreciate the impact that it has on the event and the impact that it has on the community, that community engagement dimension of our planning has been one that we've been highly, highly focused on. How do we bring in new audiences, right? How do we engage them in a meaningful way? I'm very, very confident that once they come, if we can get somebody who's never been involved in Special Olympics and frankly might not know much even about it, to opening ceremonies, because the opening act is going to be so compelling, we'll take it, because guess what? Then they'll be back perhaps because there's something interesting that's happening in the fan zone, you know, a fun band that evening, or ways to come and enjoy, you know, time with family and friends. We'll take that too. And ultimately, they will make their way to see the sporting competitions. And collectively, it will be transformative, I promise. And all of those, that community engagement and all of that involvement will translate into the legacy objectives that we're after. It'll mean more athletes. It'll mean more unified partners. It'll mean more coaches and volunteers. It'll mean more supporters. And all of that is exactly what we're after in terms of trying to fill stadiums to leave a lasting impact.
See, the games will feature unified sports where athletes with and without intellectual disabilities will compete together. How do those events play a critical role in changing sort of the perception and breaking down barriers?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's a really important one. Unified sports programming at this point in time is the fastest growing segment of Special Olympics, and has really, in addition to propelling its growth, unlocked a tremendous amount of additional opportunity for our athletes, right? It's enabled sports that might have been trickier, like volleyball, for example, to take off. Unified partners are able to, should they choose, right, hit every other shot. It's moved golfers from 3 and 9 holes to be able to play 18-hole rounds with a unified partner hitting every other shot. And I would say that the impact, and I'll speak from mine and my own family's experience, the impact on what unified sports programming has done has made Special Olympics for everyone at this point, but has given a gift that suggests the non-ID population and community, I think, benefits from Special Olympics every bit as much, if not more so, than the ID community. It's for all of us. And I think that anyone that's been involved as a unified partner or others appreciates the amazing joy and inclusion and power of, I'll call it, that surrounds all this. It unites us all, and I think leaves us all in a better place for it.
So with everything going on in the event itself, the sporting side, but also you've talked about the fan zone and various things. So it will be held at multiple venues across the Twin Cities. You mentioned National Sports Center and the U. what kind of went into deciding that, or figuring out where the events would be and selecting the events, and how will those venues, pretty world-class venues, really make for a great experience for the fans and visitors and everybody that wants to be part of it?
Yeah, yeah. So the event, like I said, 16 sport competitions. From a special events perspective, I think we're up to 24 and perhaps counting. The special events docket over the course of the week includes big things like opening and closing ceremonies that you'd expect, all the way to what are different founders' parties and receptions and officials' welcomes and other things. So, but 24 special events. 3 fan zones will be in play. So think street carnival on top of sporting events and special events, street carnival over the course of the week. So bringing that all together in a beautiful symphony is a lot. The venues, we are so fortunate to have world-class venues like we do at our market. We hosted ESPN in early June to come do their walk of venues and appreciate what the lay of the land's going to look like and what might programming look like for the week. And they were absolutely just blown over by what they saw at both the University of Minnesota and NSC. So that's where all the sporting will be. The special events, for the most part, will all be on campus in different locations. Opening and closing ceremonies will take place at Huntington Bank Stadium on campus. We do have a special event. Our Unified Sports Challenge on Monday night of the week will take place at Allianz Field in St. Paul, so we're very excited about that. Again, just tremendous facilities for our athletes to compete in, for our communities to enjoy, and to proudly showcase Minnesota.
Yeah, one of the things we are not lacking in Minnesota is sports venues.
Right.
Yeah.
But we always need some new ones.
It seems that way.
Right. We always need
Or
new
upgrades.
ones.
Or
Right,
upgrades.
Exactly.
New ones are renovations, right? The athlete leadership program, you talked a little bit about that earlier, but if you could expound on that and exactly how the games will help develop leadership skills for the athletes that are coming in and participating.
Yeah, so the athletes that are coming in participating will be quite focused on sport during the course of the week, as you might imagine. Near almost all of them during their Special Olympics training tenures have taken place in athlete leadership trainings off the field, as we talked about. What does that look like? It could take the shape of public speaking. My sister was a global messenger, a certified public speaker, who went out and spoke about the mission to corporate partners and others. It takes the place of life skills sometimes. It might take the place of training that helps them. Part of the 18.5% being employed to their ability is helping them appreciate how to represent their abilities. So it might take the shape of job readiness type things, working on resumes, working on interview skills. So there's a whole cadre of very, very impressive skills training that is taking place for our athletes to take advantage of. During the week of the games, though, there will be a youth leadership experience seminar that takes place. So from each of the 50 states, there will be an athlete and a unified partner that will come for this seminar. They'll have explicit training that's delivered kind of off to the side during the course of the week, and will also benefit while they're here of them in volunteer roles or different ways that they can support the operations of the game. So not only are they coming for skill building, but we're advantaged from what is that young talent that is obviously deeply passionate about the mission and has terrific skills that can help the good of the cause for us that week.
There's so much of that you just mentioned. Let's segue into this just a second. So you mentioned their volunteer efforts, but look at the broader group. So you're going to need or have massive group of volunteers in various capacities. Thousands, tens of thousands.
20,000 shifts.
20,000.
We hope it's less than 20,000 volunteers, but 20,000 shifts to be filled.
Could you just elaborate a little bit on what you're looking for, what you need, what you maybe already have kind of lined up, and what's the message you might give to somebody out there that might be thinking about volunteering or think this sounds great? What would you like to say to that group?
Terrific. So of the 20,000 different shifts, there are about 200 we're calling leadership roles, specialty volunteer roles that we're treating almost as an extension of our core team. My working team is it's a lean and mean team of about 36 that are on payroll for the games. And we're supported by what is an extension of 200 volunteer leadership positions. What do those specialty leadership positions look like? It would be those that require a specialty skill in sport, right? They're trained in the sport. They would be officials. They would be competition directors. They would be technical delegates, right, that can help that. Another significant group of our leadership volunteer skills is in the area of health and wellness, specifically around healthy athletes. It's different people that are in the medical profession that will come support what are all the health screenings and different volunteer roles. And I would say then in all of our different functional areas, be it marketers, be it people in event operations, be it people in, in specialty events, all of them have defined, leadership volunteer roles, again, key for us to execute the games. The general volunteer roles that you asked about, Dave, take just about every shape. They will support sports. They will be brought to bear to support our special events. They will support the operations of the games in different capacities, be it public safety or some of trash pickup and some of just supporting transportation and logistics. So all the transportation. Some will be in the spaces of marketing, right, and press for the games. We expect that there is hundreds of volunteer shifts that will be those that are taking pictures during the competition, so that we can be sharing those with partners and with families and with the athletes themselves. So there's just about something for everyone in terms of the volunteer needs and what we're after. And we say there is a place for everyone. Calling all champions is our tagline. And it was specifically written as such because it is a tag that invites, right? It invokes action. And then, by the way, who doesn't want to be a champion? Who doesn't want to be called?
Exactly.
But we say, if volunteering isn't your thing, please just coming to engage in any capacity is supporting the mission in an important way. And even just talking about it, right? Using your voice to market it a bit and talk when it comes is a voice of inclusion. So if volunteering isn't your thing, bring your family, bring your friends, and come enjoy the special events and the fan zones and just partake in the fun. One last point, general volunteer registration will open in January, so open right in the new year. Our website is www.2026usagames.org. So you can go there for information now, sign up for our newsletter, and certainly stay on top of what will be general volunteer registration opening here in the not too distant future.
Fantastic. Cool. Christy, as we prepare to wrap up, can you give us the dates again, please? And any additional information you'd like to share about the games that you'd like our viewers to hear?
Thank you. So again, the dates are June 20th to 26th, 2026. 620 to 26, 2026. Should be easy to remember. Again, we're just so, I've got an incredible team, and we're just so excited about what is this opportunity to see the abilities of 3,000 plus athletes that'll be coming put on display. And if I'd leave you with anything, it's probably back to where I started. It's really important to me and the team that this isn't just an incredible moment, but the platform is one that propels the movement forward in an important way and leaves the mission of Special Olympics in a better place and leaves our community in a better place through it all as well.
Fantastic.
I'm sure it will.
Christy Sovereign, thank you for being on Behind the Game.
Thank
Christy
you.
is the CEO of the 2026 Special Olympics USA Games coming to Minnesota next June. Thank
for
all
joining
of you
us.
for watching Behind the Game. Thank you, Dave Boden, for joining me, and we'll see you again next month.